seniors, today we're going to continue with writing and solving systems of equations from words. So let's go ahead and jump in. On your notes page, go ahead and draw your line. Go ahead and write and solve systems from words. Don't write this yet. I'm just going to read it to you. We're going to work through it together. So remember, when I'm writing systems of equations, I want to get my equations in the form of our slope-intercept equation, which is y equals mx plus b, where b is the y-intercept and m is the slope of my line. When I'm writing equations from words, I always want to look for my starting point for the data, which will be my y-intercept. What's my constant? What's my starting point? The value that increases is normally my slope. So let's go ahead and look at my first example. Example 1. Kiffy is thinking about joining a DVD rental service. Netflix costs $5 for a membership and each video is $1. Blockbuster costs $3 for the membership and $2 to rent each movie. After how many DVD rentals is the cost the same? My first step is always to write my equation. So I'm going to go ahead and circle any key terms that I see. Each video, I'm going to go ahead and underline cost $5 for a membership, which means it's a one-time thing. Each video is $1. So let's go ahead and work with that one first. I know my equations will be y equals. I'm trying to figure out what the cost is. So y is going to represent my cost. Netflix costs $5 for a membership. That will never change. That's always my constant, so that's going to be my y-intercept. Each video is $1. Whenever I hear each video, the word each can tell me that this is going to be multiplication, because I don't know how many videos it's going to take in order for it to match the other membership. So that's just going to be represented with 1x, where x is my variable. So this is Netflix. My pen is your pen. Make sure you have this down. The other one. Blockbuster costs $3 for the membership and $2 to rent each movie. If it costs $3 for the membership, that is never going to change. So that's going to be my y-intercept. And it's $2 to rent each movie. I don't know how many movies I'm going to rent, so that's going to be 2 followed by my variable, which is x. So my two equations for this are y equals 1x plus 5 and y equals 2x plus 3. Now, what I'm interested in here is writing a table to figure out when the cost will be the same. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to use a method known as substitution in order to figure that out. So let's go ahead and write our table. Write our equations over here so we have room. All right, if I want to draw a table to figure out when the cost will be the same, first of all, I need to figure out what my x and y values are. So go ahead and draw a big table. Actually going to make this a double table. This will be Netflix, and this will be Blockbuster. Again, I'm doing all of this just to stay organized. Just to stay organized. So this will be my x value, this will be my y value, x and y. And x in this case represents the number of movies. Y, on the other hand, will represent the cost, and it will be the same on the Blockbuster side. So the first thing I want to do is when I use this method called substitution, I'm looking for the coordinate pair where the lines will cross on the graph. So the first thing I'm going to start with is just plug in 0 for x. If I plug in 0 for x in my first equation, since this is my Netflix equation, I'm left with y equals 1 times 0 plus 5. And then, of course, 1 times 0 is just 0, and 1 plus 5 is going to be 5, so my y will equal 5 here. So that'll be my first coordinate pair. If I plug in 0 for x in my second equation, I'm left with y equals 2 times 0 plus 2. And if I simplify this down, 2 times 0 is 0, so y equals 2. So that's my other coordinate pair. These still don't match yet. Again, I'm looking for the coordinate pair that matches. So the next number I'm going to try is going to be 1. And again, I'm going to plug 1 in for x to figure out my value of y. So y equals 1 times 1 plus 5. If I do that, 1 times 1 is 1, so y equals 6. So 1, 6. I got to plug 1 in for my second equation. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, my pen is your pen. Make sure you have all of this down. I know it's a lot. So I have y equals 2 times 1 plus 2. 2 times 1 is 2, so y equals 4. Y equals 4. My coordinates still don't match yet, so I'm going to go ahead and try 2. If I plug in 2 for my equation, my first equation, I'm going to come out with y equals 1 times 2 plus 5. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 5 is 7. Again, I have to plug 2 in for my second equation as well, which will leave me with y equals 2 times 2 plus 3. 2 times 2 is 4, so y equals 7. So this is the point on the graph where the two lines will meet, which means after renting 2 movies, my cost will be the same. Let's do another example. All right, your boss asks you to visually display 2 plans and compare them so you can point out the advantages of each plan to your customers. Plan A costs a basic fee of $30 per month and $1 per text message. Go ahead and write this on your notes page. Plan B costs a basic fee of $90 per month and has unlimited text messages. Go ahead and write that on your notes page too. My first step is always to write my equation. I'm looking to write my equation in the form y equals mx plus b. If it costs a basic fee of $30 per month, that's going to be my constant, because that will always be the same. I'm going to go ahead and write that as my y-intercept. And $1 per text message. Since I don't know how many text messages I'm going to send, that's going to be accompanied with a variable. So that's my first equation. Plan B costs a basic fee of $90 per month and has unlimited text messages. This one's going to be different because I don't have anything that's increasing. There's unlimited text messages. I could text all day long, and it's still going to cost $90 per month. So my equation here, I'm just left with y equals 90. Again, I want to represent this in a table to figure out what my solution to this system is. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. First, let's figure out what, I have plan A, this is x and y, and plan B, where I have x and y. Again, I do this all to stay organized. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm always going to start at 0. If I plug in 0 to my equation for plan A, I'm left with y equals 1 times 0 plus 30. If I simplify that out, I'll come out to y equals 30. So that's my first coordinate pair. The thing is that since my second equation is y equals 90, there's nothing to plug in for x. Y is always going to be 90. It doesn't matter if x is 4,000, y is always going to be 90. So I need to just work with plan A to plug in numbers until I get y to equal 90. So if I do that, let's go ahead and try 1. If I plug in 1 to my first equation, y equals 1 times 1 plus 30. 1 times 1 is just 1, and then 1 plus 30 is 31, so that's going to be 1 and 31. Nowhere close to 90, right? Let's go ahead and up our game. I can look at my equation and get an idea of the number I need to plug in order to get y to equal 90. So let's go ahead and try 60. Y equals 1 times 60 plus 30. 1 times 60 is just 60, and then 60 plus 30 equals 90. So I'm at 60, 90. What that means is the point on the graph where these two lines will cross, if I draw my graph, y equals 90 is going this way. Let's erase some of this so we can see. Let's actually write this a little bit better. If I were to just make a faux graph, where I roughly graph these points, if y equals 90, it's going to look something like this. Because it's not going to cross the x-axis at all. If I graph this other one, where my other equation, y equals 1x plus 30, it's going to look something like this. The point where these two will cross is going to be at 60, 90. And I proved that by plugging those values into my equation. All right, guys, a lot of information here. I think the best way is just to get into practice. So let's go ahead and do that.